The interstellar trade hub of Xylar 9 was a place like no other. Towering crystal spires shimmered under the twin suns, and streets of floating platforms stretched in every direction. Aliens of all shapes, sizes, and colors moved through the hub, trading, negotiating, and observing one another. For most visitors, the place was chaotic. For Ethan, a human diplomat, it was fascinating. Ethan had traveled far from Earth. His mission was simple in words but complex in practice. Observe, learn, and establish friendly relations with the local species. Humans were often seen as unusual in the galaxy, but Ethan carried their reputation with quiet pride. The ability to combine curiosity, empathy, and determination made humans unique, and he intended to show it. He walked through the main plaza, careful not to bump into anyone. A group of three-legged traders was haggling over shimmering stones, while a floating jellyfish-like creature drifted above, projecting its thoughts in patterns of colored light. Ethan's eyes were drawn to a commotion near one of the docking bays. An alien woman was struggling with a stack of crates. She moved with grace despite her awkward posture among humans' expectations. Her skin had a faint luminescent quality, shifting colors subtly as she moved. Her eyes were large and deep, reflecting the glow of the crystal spires above. Something about her seemed different, and Ethan felt a pull of curiosity he couldn't ignore. "Do you need help?" he asked, stepping closer. She looked at him, startled. A strange sound escaped her throat, neither a word nor a hum, but something in between. She nodded, slightly, though it was unclear if she was agreeing or just acknowledging him. Ethan carefully lifted one of the lighter crates and carried it toward her. "There you go," he said with a small smile. The alien woman's eyes widened, and for a brief moment the air around her shimmered. Ethan noticed it almost immediately, a faint ripple, like heat waves above a desert. "You look wonderful today," Ethan said without thinking. It was a habit of humans to express appreciation, to speak words that reflected respect and honesty. The ripple around the alien grew brighter, almost like a glow. She froze, her glowing skin intensifying in response to his words. Other aliens paused to watch, confused by the human's behavior and the unexpected reaction it caused. Ethan blinked. I didn't mean to startle you, I just thought it was true." Her glowing aura shifted, spreading softly around her. Then, in a tone that was more mental than spoken, she seemed to project a thought. "Your words, they are unusual, honest." Ethan froze. He had never experienced telepathy, nor had he expected this reaction. Yet somehow the alien woman seemed to be reading his intentions, sensing something in his words he hadn't planned to reveal. "I'm Ethan," he said, trying to sound calm. "I come in peace." She tilted her head slightly, and the glow faded just a little. Ethan realized that even small gestures, simple honesty had an impact far beyond what he had imagined. "I am Lyra," she said in a soft voice that almost seemed like a melody. "Human words affect me." Ethan smiled faintly. "I guess humans are different like that. We like to speak what we feel. Sometimes we're too honest." Lyra's large eyes studied him carefully. Then, slowly, she nodded. The crates were now stacked safely, but Ethan noticed she wasn't moving away. Instead, she seemed curious, cautious but willing to interact. "Would you walk with me?" she asked. Her accent was unusual, each word carefully formed. "Of course," Ethan replied. Together, they began moving through the floating platforms. Ethan observed the hub more closely now, guided by Lyra's steady steps. "You are not like other aliens," Ethan said carefully. "Your species, people, react to words differently." "Why?" Lyra's glow flickered again, softer this time. "We sense intentions. Actions are easy to hide. Words, when honest, reveal truth. Humans, you show truth easily." Ethan felt a thrill. Humans had always been known for their ingenuity and courage, but he had never thought their Simple honesty could affect another species so profoundly. Then I suppose humans are powerful in ways we don't even know, he said. Lyra tilted her head and considered him. Perhaps, yes. Powerful, curious, different, interesting. Ethan chuckled. I'll take that as a compliment. They continued walking, passing by floating markets where traders sold devices that manipulated gravity, foods that shimmered with bioluminescence, and fabrics that changed color with the wearer's mood. Lyra moved gracefully, her body slightly glowing as though the words he had spoken still resonated within her. You see differently, she said after a moment, glancing at him. Humans look at things differently. You notice small things. That's true, Ethan admitted. Humans pay attention. We're curious, we observe, we try to understand. It can be a strength or a weakness, depending on who you meet. Lyra's glow pulsed gently like a slow heartbeat of light. Curiosity, trust, honesty, human, these are rare. Ethan smiled again, realizing how extraordinary this encounter was. He had come to Xylar 9 expecting diplomacy and negotiation. Instead, he had found a bridge, a connection that transcended words, culture, and even species. They reached a quiet platform overlooking a river of glowing liquid, floating between the city's spires. The view was breathtaking. Colors shifted, blending in patterns that seemed alive. Lyra stopped and looked at him. You make me see differently, she said. Her voice was soft but steady, filled with awe. And you make me see differently too, Ethan replied honestly. I've traveled far, met many beings, but rarely. Someone makes me feel this unusual way. She tilted her head again, and the light around her flared briefly, bright but warm. Human, you, unusual, honest, kind. Ethan laughed softly. Kindness. That's human too. It seems small, but sometimes it changes everything. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter, for a moment then settled. Ethan realized he was witnessing something extraordinary. His simple words, a casual compliment, had triggered an effect in her species that had never been seen before. He was beginning to understand that humans' emotions, creativity, and honesty were far more than social tools. They were a kind of influence, subtle but powerful. I want to know more, Lyra admitted. Human, you, different. Why? Why are humans different? Ethan repeated thoughtfully. Maybe it's because we care. About each other, about the world, about understanding. We see possibility where others see rules. We take risks, even small ones, just to see what happens. And we try to speak truth, even when it's hard. Lyra's glow shifted again, a slow, steady wave of light. Risk, truth, rare, valuable, human. Ethan felt a mix of excitement and humility. He had not come to Xylar 9 to be remarkable, yet by being himself, by speaking honestly, he was creating ripples in a culture that had never known such a thing. The hub was still busy around them. Traders moving, ships docking, lights shimmering. But in that quiet corner above the glowing river, Ethan felt a connection that transcended the ordinary. Lyra finally smiled, small, but genuine. You, human, wonder, Ethan returned the smile. And you, alien, extraordinary. They stood in silence for a moment, the twin suns casting long shadows across the floating city. Ethan realized that sometimes the simplest gestures, a word, a glance, a smile, could have consequences far beyond what anyone expected. For the first time, he understood that humans were special, not just because of their technology or courage, but because of their ability to reach across differences with honesty, empathy, and kindness. Lyra's glow faded slightly, as if settling into a calm state. Tomorrow, show More? She asked. Ethan nodded. Tomorrow and every day after, if you'll allow it. She inclined her head. Yes. Allow. As Ethan returned to his quarters that evening, he thought about what had happened. A simple compliment, a small act of honesty, had opened a door. Not just a door to friendship, but a door to understanding, respect, and something even greater. In the bustling hub of Xylar 9, amid creatures and cultures so different from his own, Ethan felt a quiet pride. Humans were often underestimated. Yet here, in this alien city of floating spires and glowing rivers, he realized the truth. Humans could inspire, affect, and connect in ways no one could predict, and all it had taken was telling an alien woman, "You look wonderful today." The next morning, the twin suns of Xylar 9 rose slowly above the floating city. Their light bounced off the crystal spires, sending streams of shimmering color across the platforms. Ethan woke early, eager to continue his encounter with Lyra. The previous day had been extraordinary, and he could not stop thinking about the glowing aura, the way she had responded to his simple compliment. He walked through the busy streets of the trade hub, careful not to disturb the floating carts, and approached the quiet platform where he and Lyra had spoken the night before. To his relief, she was already there, her luminous skin reflecting the morning sunlight. She was watching the river of glowing liquid below, her posture calm and thoughtful. "Good morning," Ethan said softly, not wanting to startle her. Lyra turned and her eyes glowed faintly, a soft recognition. "Human, you come." "Yes," Ethan said with a smile. "I wanted to learn more. I want to understand your world." She tilted her head slightly. "World. Complex. Strange. Many. Humans. Not understand. You. Different. Curious. Patient." Ethan felt a small thrill. Humans were known for curiosity, and patience was sometimes a rare virtue. It seemed that in Lyra's eyes he was unusual, and that fascinated him even more. "Show me," Ethan said simply. "Show me the parts others do not see." Lyra hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Her glowing skin shifted into a soft green, a color Ethan had not seen before. Without a word, she turned and began to walk through a narrow, floating pathway between two spires. Ethan followed closely, careful not to lose balance on the hovering platform. The path led them into a hidden section of the city, far away from the busy trade hub. Here, the architecture seemed alive. Buildings curved and stretched impossibly, floating on invisible currents of energy. Bridges connected towers at odd angles, and streams of luminescent liquid flowed in midair. Ethan could hardly believe his eyes. "This place," he whispered. "It's amazing." Lyra glanced at him. "Amazing humans. Rarely see. Only those trusted." Aloud. Ethan nodded. "I am honored." He paused. "Why trust me?" Her glow pulsed slowly. "Your words, honest. Your actions, patient. Your thoughts, not hidden, not selfish. Rare. Human. True." Ethan felt a quiet pride. It seemed that for once humans' honesty and kindness were not only noticed but valued in a way he had never experienced. They walked in silence for a few minutes, Ethan observing small details. Floating gardens that changed color with the sun, small creatures that glowed softly as they moved through the air, and delicate instruments that seemed to manipulate gravity effortlessly. "You see differently," Lyra said suddenly, her voice melodic. "Human, you notice details. Small, important. Others, miss." "That's true," Ethan replied. "Humans are curious. We observe. We learn. Sometimes we see things others cannot because we care to look closer." Lyra's glow shifted again, a soft ripple of golden light. "Care. Rare. Powerful. Humans. Stronger. Different. Interesting." Ethan smiled. "Stronger, perhaps. In ways we do not always know." As they continued through the hidden city, Lyra stopped near a structure that seemed almost alive. Its walls pulsed with light and soft hums filled the air. Here, humans, rarely allowed, only trusted. See? Ethan stepped closer, his eyes wide. What is this? Lyra's glow flickered as she touched the wall lightly. The surface responded, rippling like water. Memory, projection, reflect thoughts, truth, only honest, allowed. Ethan hesitated. You mean it can show what's inside my mind? Yes, truth revealed by heart, not lie. He took a deep breath. Humans had always valued honesty, but he had never expected it to be a physical experience in another species. I want to try. Lyra nodded and gestured for him to place his hands on the glowing surface. Ethan did so, feeling a gentle vibration under his palms. Slowly, the surface shimmered, then projected holographic images into the air. To his amazement, the projections were scenes from his life, his childhood on Earth, moments of joy, curiosity, and even mistakes. The images were pure, honest reflections of him. He saw himself building small machines as a boy, helping a friend in need, laughing with his family under the sun. Lyra's eyes glowed brighter. Human, creativity, emotion, combined, rare, powerful. Ethan realized that his memories, his honesty, and even his simple emotions were creating an impact far greater than he had imagined. It's fascinating, he said softly. I didn't think humans could affect another species like this. Lyra tilted her head. Affect, yes, humans. Strange. Special. We sense intentions. True. Human. Rare. Force. Not weapons. Not control. Only honesty. Care. Creativity. Emotion. Ethan nodded slowly. I've always believed humans are special, but seeing it through your eyes, it feels extraordinary. For a moment, they stood together in silence, watching the projections. Then, without warning, a ripple of energy passed through the chamber. The holographic images shifted and began to intertwine with Lyra's own memories, memories of her city, her species, and the rare experiences she had shared with trusted outsiders. You blend human with us. New connection. Unexpected. Ethan's heart raced. I didn't mean to. I was just honest. I wanted to learn, not this. Lyra's glow softened, a gentle wave of acceptance. Intentions, pure. Actions, honest. Humans, different. Powerful. Unexpectedly. Gift. Ethan felt a quiet awe. He had not expected a simple act of honesty, or a few words of kindness, to create such a deep connection with another species. Humans were known for courage and intelligence, but here, in Xylar 9, he realized they had something even more profound, the ability to reach across differences with sincerity, curiosity, and care. They left the memory chamber and stepped onto a balcony overlooking a series of floating gardens. Colors shifted gently with the morning sun, and small creatures with glowing wings flitted among the flowers. Ethan turned to Lyra. I think humans could learn a lot from your people, he said. And I think your people could learn from us, too. Not technology, not power, but how we connect, how we care, how we try to understand. Lyra's glow pulsed slowly like a heartbeat of light. Human. Connection. Rare. Valuable. Hope. Perhaps. New. Future. Ethan smiled. I hope so. I truly do. For the rest of the day, Ethan and Lyra explored the hidden city together. She showed him gardens that changed color with sound, machines that floated without visible support, and libraries of light that stored knowledge in shapes and patterns, rather than words. At each discovery, Ethan noticed the reactions of Lyra's species were different than other aliens. His presence, his words, his honesty, it all seemed to awaken curiosity and trust in her people. He realized that humans, even by simply being themselves, had a subtle influence that no one had predicted. By evening, they returned to the quiet platform overlooking the glowing river. Ethan felt a sense of wonder he had never experienced before. You, human, unusual, different. Good, Lyra said softly, her glow pulsing gently. Your presence, meaningful, rare, important. Ethan laughed quietly. I never thought I'd hear that from an alien, but I'm glad. It means a lot. Lyra tilted her head and glowed faintly. Words, actions, small, create, large, affect, human, unique, powerful, honestly, unexpected. Ethan nodded. Sometimes the smallest things, the simplest gestures that can change the world in ways we cannot imagine. She smiled faintly, her light shifting with the motion. Yes, world, small, big, humans, bridge, hope, truth, connection. As the twin suns set behind the crystal spires, Ethan realized that this day had been far more extraordinary than any negotiation or trade mission. He had discovered a truth about humans that no alien species had recognized before. That honesty, curiosity, and empathy were not just traits, they were a kind of power, subtle but undeniable, capable of creating bridges between worlds, and it all began with a simple compliment, spoken without thought, yet received in a way he could never have anticipated. The morning light on Xylar 9 was soft and golden, painting the floating city in hues of warmth. The twin suns glimmered off the crystal spires, reflecting across the rivers of luminescent liquid. Ethan awoke with a sense of anticipation and a small pulse of unease. The previous days had been extraordinary. He had connected with Lyra, explored hidden parts of her city, and discovered how human honesty could touch her species in ways no one else could. But he also sensed that not everyone would welcome this unexpected connection. The hub had always been a place of careful observation, negotiation, and subtle competition. Traders and officials from countless species constantly measured each other, seeking advantage. Humans were known in many sectors as unpredictable, but for the first time, Ethan realized the galaxy might begin to see humans as a kind of unseen influence that could disrupt established order. As he stepped onto the platform overlooking the glowing river, he saw Lyra waiting, her skin pulsing gently with soft green and blue light. She seemed calm, though Ethan noticed a subtle tension in the way her glow flickered, like a warning. "Good morning, human," she said softly. "You noticed others watch?" "Yes," Ethan admitted. "I think some may not like how our presence affects things." Lyra nodded slowly. "Yes, observe humans. Unusual, power, rare, concerning some species." Ethan frowned. "Do you mean others may see me as a threat?" Her glow dimmed slightly. "Not threat yet, but we're unpredictable humans, influence, not understood. Fear may rise." Ethan realized she was right. His presence had already started to ripple through her community, and not all reactions were positive. Humans' ability to connect honestly and directly, something so natural to him, was unprecedented to many alien species. That same trait that inspired trust in Lyra could, in others, spark suspicion. He looked at her carefully. "Then we must be careful, but we cannot hide who we are. Humans, honesty, empathy, kindness. These are who we are." Lyra's glow brightened in agreement. "Yes, show truth, help others, understand, perhaps teach, but cautious, some jealous, wary." They began walking through the hidden pathways of her city. As they moved, Ethan noticed a group of alien observers watching them from a distance. These were officials from a neighboring faction, members of a species that valued logic, control, and strict hierarchy. Their glowing eyes followed Ethan and Lyra, whispering telepathically among themselves. They observe closely, question, human. Purpose, Lyra murmured. Ethan felt a knot in his stomach. Then we must remain careful, but not timid. We cannot let fear stop us from connecting or learning. Lyra nodded and led him to a place few outsiders had ever seen, the floating gardens of reflection, a series of terraces suspended above the city, where plants grew in midair and water flowed in twisting streams. The gardens were alive with color and light, shifting subtly with emotion and intention. This place, sacred, humans, rare, allowed, Lyra explained. Shows, growth, truth, bonds, trust. Ethan observed the gardens in awe. He could feel a strange resonance in the air, an energy that seemed to respond to intention and honesty, much like Lyra's species itself. The plants shimmered as he walked past, and the soft sounds of flowing water seemed almost musical. Beautiful, Ethan whispered. I have never seen anything like this. And yet, your species is cautious. Others may fear us simply because they do not understand. Lyra glowed brighter, reflecting a soft pink. Yes, fear. Unknown. Power. Human. Unseen. Strange. Influence. Curiosity. Trust. Dangerous. Misunderstood. Ethan nodded. Then we must earn trust, not demand it. Humans can show that influence is not control, that curiosity is not threat, that honesty can be shared without harm. They continued through the gardens, passing bridges that arched impossibly between terraces, and pools of glowing liquid that reflected thoughts and memories. Lyra paused near a particularly large pool. Some see human and think. Manipulate, control, influence, dangerous, must stop. Ethan studied the rippling liquid. They do not understand us, but we can show them. Through actions, through honesty, through connection. Lyra's glow pulsed in agreement. Yes, actions, truthful, help, teach, show, not lie, not deceive, human, rare, important. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air, and Ethan realized the observing faction had moved closer. A group of 4 alien officials stepped onto the platform above the gardens. Their expressions were stern, their forms glowing with subtle power, and their presence radiated authority. Human, one of them said telepathically, voice firm and measured. You influence our people in ways we do not understand. Your actions are not neutral. We request explanation. State purpose clearly. Ethan took a deep breath. This was the moment he had feared yet also expected. I am Ethan, a human diplomat. My purpose is not to manipulate, not to control, not to dominate. I am here to learn, to understand, and to build trust. That is all. Lyra glowed softly at his side. Yes, human, honest, true. The leader of the officials tilted his head, considering. Unusual. Humans, rarely seen, act purely. Honest. Yet, influence grows. Potential. Concern. Must observe. Continue. With caution. Ethan nodded. Caution is wise, but fear should not stop progress. We must learn from each other, not judge before understanding. The officials exchanged glances, then stepped back, their glow dimming slightly. Observation. Continue. Humans. Curious. Influence. Unusual. Monitor. Ethan let out a quiet breath of relief. The tension in the air eased, but he knew the challenge had only just begun. He turned to Lyra. This is only the beginning. Others may not understand us yet, but with patience and honesty, we can show them that humans are not a threat, only different. Lyra's glow brightened. Yes, different, rare, teach, trust, hope, careful, continue, must. For the rest of the day, Ethan and Lyra continued exploring the city, always aware of the observers. She showed him hidden alcoves, gardens that reflected thoughts in flowing colors, and libraries that stored knowledge in patterns of light rather than words. At each step, Ethan noticed how his presence, his words, his honesty created reactions he could not have predicted. Other species were watching, judging, and yet in subtle ways learning. Humans' ability to combine emotion, creativity, and logic made them unpredictable, but in a way that could inspire respect rather than fear. As night fell, the twin moons rose over the floating city, casting a soft glow over the crystal spires. Ethan and Lyra returned to the quiet platform overlooking the glowing river. The city was calmer now, the observers having retreated for the evening, but the memory of their scrutiny lingered. You, humans, unusual, influence, caution, watch, concern, truth, rare, valuable, Lyra said softly, her glow flickering gently. Ethan nodded. We are unusual, but that does not mean dangerous. We will show our value, not with weapons, not with power, but with honesty, empathy, and courage. Lyra's glow pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat of light. Yes, human, rare, special, bridge, hope, future, connection, trust, teach, influence, unexpectedly, gift. Ethan smiled faintly. Sometimes the smallest gestures, the simplest words, can ripple farther than we ever imagine. Lyra inclined her head. Yes, ripple, change, grow, learn, human, extraordinary, unexpected, beautiful, truth. As they stood together, watching the rivers of glowing liquid below, Ethan realized that the galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, but humans had a unique gift, the ability to inspire, to connect, and to change perspectives through honesty and empathy alone. Even in the face of suspicion and caution, even when other species watched warily, humans' simple acts, words, gestures, trust, could build bridges where others saw walls. And Ethan knew that the challenges ahead would test this truth in ways he could not yet imagine. But he also knew one thing for certain. With Lyra at his side, and with the simple power of being human, he could navigate the rising tensions and show the galaxy that honesty and connection were forces stronger than fear. The next day, Xylar 9's twin suns rose high in the sky, casting their bright light across the floating city. The crystal spires shimmered, reflecting soft colors into the streets below. Ethan felt a sense of excitement mixed with curiosity. Yesterday's encounter with the observing aliens reminded him that humans' presence was not always fully understood, and sometimes even feared. But today promised something entirely different. Lyra was waiting for him at their usual platform, her glow calm but brighter than usual. "Human, ready?" she asked softly, her melodic voice carrying warmth. Ethan smiled. "I am ready. I want to see more, to understand more, to learn." She inclined her head, then gestured for him to follow. Together, they walked through secret pathways that twisted above and around the city. Unlike yesterday, today felt ceremonial. There was a quiet energy in the air, a subtle hum that seemed to resonate with both of them. "You prepared, see, rare, ritual, only trusted, allowed," Lyra explained. Her glow pulsed gently, a mix of soft green and gold. "Humans, unusual. Your heart, honest, true, must Witness. Ethan's heart raced. A ritual? Yes. Rare. Only show. Gift. Unexpected. Human. Unique. Impact. Discover. Learn. Share. They reached a large circular platform suspended above a river of glowing liquid. Strange structures of crystal rose around them, reflecting light into patterns that seemed almost alive. Ethan could feel the air vibrating gently, as if the city itself were alive and watching. This space. Sacred, Lyra said softly. Ritual, energy, truth, bond, intention, reveal, human, special, influence. Ethan looked at her, puzzled yet intrigued. Reveal, how? Lyra gestured to a crystalline pedestal at the center of the platform. Place hands, show, honest, heart, mind, human, intention, glow, energy, effect, unexpected, gift. Ethan stepped forward cautiously. I am ready. He placed his hands on the pedestal. The crystal vibrated under his palms, soft at first, then stronger. He could feel a connection forming, linking him, Lyra, and the energy of the floating city. Slowly, the pedestal began to glow, sending beams of light into the sky, reflecting off the spires and illuminating patterns across the surrounding area. Lyra's glow brightened, her skin shifting in beautiful waves of color. Human, unusual, truth, heart, mind, pure, rare, gift, receive. Ethan felt warmth spreading through him. The energy of the city, the ritual, and Lyra's presence combined into something he had never experienced before. Images, thoughts, and emotions began to flow around him, not from the pedestal alone, but from Lyra and the city itself. He saw visions of her species' history, moments of joy, discovery, and hardship. He saw their triumphs and their failures. He saw how Lyra's people had valued honesty, curiosity, and connection above all else. And then, to his astonishment, the energy seemed to respond to him, shifting, expanding, and reflecting the qualities he carried as a human: empathy, courage, creativity, and kindness. You, human, rare, powerful, differently, unexpected, impact, energy, effect, influence, beautiful. Lyra's voice rang clearly, both spoken and felt, vibrating in his mind. Ethan felt a wave of realization. This was more than a ritual. This was a connection beyond words, a way for Lyra's species to perceive the intentions and qualities of outsiders. And through it, he was showing them what humans truly were. Not weapons, not conquerors, but beings capable of honesty, creativity, and trust. I don't understand fully, Ethan admitted, though he could feel the truth of it. But I see. Humans. Maybe we have power, not in strength, not in tools, but in how we care, how we connect, how we act honestly. Lyra's glow shifted to a radiant golden hue. Yes, human, truth, influence, unique, rare, gift, share, learn, connect, bridge, hope. The energy around them expanded, rippling through the floating city. Small creatures, plants, and structures responded, their lights brightening as if recognizing the connection. Ethan felt a strange exhilaration. Humans, in their simplicity and honesty, were creating a resonance that no alien species had experienced before. Suddenly, the pedestal projected a series of holographic images, scenes from Ethan's life. Moments of courage, compassion, creativity, and honesty played out in glowing light. Each memory seemed to amplify the energy around him, connecting with Lyra's species' collective memory. You, human, gift, unexpectedly, rare, truth, care, honesty, connection, influence, power, extraordinary, Lyra said, her voice echoing in the air and in Ethan's mind. Ethan stepped back slightly, overwhelmed. It's incredible. I never imagined our qualities could have such an effect. Lyra floated closer, her glow softening. Humans, different, special, your heart, honest, mind, curious, courage, gift, effect, teach, share, inspire, bridge, hope. Ethan realized something extraordinary. The ritual was not just about observation, it was about acknowledgement. By participating honestly, he had shown Lyra's species what humans were capable of in the most profound way. Words, gestures, and intentions combined with sincerity could touch minds and hearts across species, creating bonds that no technology or force could replicate. As the energy slowly settled, Lyra gestured for him to stand at the center of the platform. Human, gift, receive, unexpected, energy, memory, share, understand, connect, bridge, influence, important. Ethan felt a warmth spread through his body. A part of him, a connection to Lyra and her species, had become permanent. It was not a physical object, not a technology, but a shared understanding, a way of perceiving each other beyond language or culture. You, human, special, rare, gift, unexpected, powerful, influence, truth, hope, extraordinary, Lyra repeated. Ethan smiled, feeling the truth in her words. I didn't expect this. I thought I would learn, but instead, I received this connection, understanding. It's a gift beyond measure. Lyra inclined her head. Yes, human, effect, reach, beyond, thought, beyond, words, simple, honesty, care, courage, create, change, unexpectedly, powerful. They remained on the platform as the twin suns set, casting soft light across the floating city. Ethan looked at Lyra, realizing that this experience had changed him. He understood now that humans' uniqueness was not just intelligence, creativity, or courage. It was honesty, empathy, and connection. And a simple act like a word of kindness could ripple across worlds in ways no one could predict. You, human, gift, unusual, truth, rare, important, inspire, connect, teach, influence, hope, Lyra said, her glow dimming, gently as the ritual ended. Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of pride and responsibility. I understand now. Humans can reach across differences, create understanding, change perspectives, without weapons, without force, only with honesty, curiosity, and care. Lyra floated beside him, her glow soft but steady. Yes, human, bridge, hope, truth, connection, gift, unexpected, extraordinary, rare, important. As night fell over Xylar 9, the city shimmered with soft light. Ethan and Lyra sat together, reflecting on what had just happened. The ritual had been a turning point, not only for him, but also for her species. Humans' presence, their words, their intentions, they could inspire trust, create bonds, and foster understanding across worlds. Ethan realized that the galaxy was vast, full of mysteries, dangers, and wonders. But humans had something rare and valuable, the power of sincerity, the ability to connect, and the courage to act honestly. And, in this hidden city, above the glowing rivers and floating gardens, Ethan had received a gift far greater than he could have imagined. It was not a physical gift, nor a technology, nor a weapon. It was a gift of understanding, a shared perception, a bridge across differences. A simple word, a compliment, an honest gesture. These had unlocked something profound, not only in Lyra, but in the energy of her entire species. Ethan looked at her, a smile spreading across his face. "Thank you, Lyra, for showing me this, for trusting me." Lyra's glow pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat. Human, trust, rare, gift, share, learn, inspire, connect, hope, unusual, extraordinary. Ethan knew that this was only the beginning. The galaxy had yet to see the full potential of humans, and he would carry this truth with him, that even the simplest acts, performed honestly, could create ripples of change far beyond imagination. And it all began with a single word spoken without thought. "You look wonderful today." The morning suns rose over Xylar 9, casting warm light across the floating city. Ethan awoke with a sense of anticipation. Today he would leave for human space, but he also felt the weight of what he had experienced. The past days with Lyra had been more than a diplomatic mission. They had been a journey of discovery. He had learned that humans were not only intelligent and brave, but also uniquely capable of inspiring connection and trust across species. Lyra was waiting for him on their usual platform. Her glow pulsed gently, a soft mixture of green and gold. "Human ready leave?" she asked, her melodic voice carrying warmth. Ethan smiled. "Yes, but I feel changed. I see now that our words, our honesty, even small acts of kindness, can reach farther than we imagine." Lyra inclined her head. "Yes, human, influence, beyond thought, beyond words, gift, rare, important, bridge, hope." Together they walked through the hidden paths of her city one last time. Ethan observed everything with new eyes. The floating gardens, the luminescent rivers, the structures that defied gravity. All of it seemed to respond subtly to their presence, as if the city itself recognized the connection they had formed. You, humans, unusual, different, inspire, teach, share, connect, trust. Lyra said softly. Ethan nodded. "It seems we can create change not through power or control, but simply through honesty, empathy, and courage. We can reach across differences and build bridges without force." Lyra's glow pulsed brighter. "Yes, human, rare, valuable, gift, energy, truth, unexpected, extraordinary." As they reached the edge of the city, Ethan saw ships preparing to depart. Humans' technology was familiar to him, yet standing here in this alien city he felt the contrast sharply. Humans' reach across the galaxy was not just in ships or tools, but in the qualities they carried within themselves. The ability to connect, to inspire, to act with honesty. "Lyra," Ethan said, stopping at the platform edge, "I will never forget this place. I will never forget what your species has taught me, and I hope humans can continue to build trust across the galaxy." She floated beside him, her glow steady. Human, important, presence, bridge, hope, future, truth, connection, influence, teach, share, remember, gift. Ethan smiled. "I will remember, Lyra, and I will share what I have learned. Not just knowledge of technology or trade, but the value of honesty, curiosity, and empathy, and the effect even small gestures can have." They embraced briefly, a gesture of trust that transcended language. Ethan stepped onto the transport platform, the hum of the engines vibrating beneath him. He looked back at Lyra one last time, her glow reflecting softly in the twin sun's light. Human, remember, always, gift, unexpected, effect, rare, bridge, inspire, connection, hope, she said. Ethan nodded. "I will, always." As the ship lifted off, Ethan gazed down at the city, now bathed in morning light. He felt a sense of pride and responsibility, Humans were often underestimated in the galaxy. Their technology, their courage, their creativity, all these were known. But what few species understood was the quiet power humans carried: honesty, empathy, curiosity, and the ability to connect. These qualities were invisible weapons of influence, capable of building bridges where others saw walls. They were the essence of humanity, and Ethan had seen firsthand how they could affect even the most unusual alien species. During the journey back to human space, Ethan reflected on the events of the past days. The simple compliment he had given to Lyra, "You look wonderful today," had unlocked a series of connections and trust that no one could have predicted. That small act had led to shared experiences, the ritual of trust, and the recognition of humans' unique qualities. He realized that humans' legacy was not just in the stars they reached or the planets they explored, but in the hearts and minds they touched. The ability to inspire, to connect, to act with integrity. These were powers far more enduring than any technology or weapon. Lyra had given him a gift beyond measure. Not a physical object, but a shared understanding, a telepathic connection that allowed him to perceive her species' history, values, and culture in a way no human had ever experienced before. This gift would guide him in his future missions, reminding him that humans' true strength lay not in dominance, but in connection. Back on Earth, Ethan would tell stories, not just of floating cities or alien rituals, but of the effect humans could have through honesty, courage, and empathy. He would share the lessons of Xylar 9 with diplomats, explorers, and young humans alike, that the simple act of speaking truthfully, acting kindly, or showing curiosity could ripple across worlds in ways unimaginable. Lyra's people would continue to watch, learning to trust humans, and in turn, humans would continue to learn from them. A bridge had been built, not with technology or force, but with understanding, respect, and simple honesty. As the ship entered human space, Ethan reflected on the moments that had led to this point. Every small act, the smile, the kind word, the willingness to explore, had shaped the connection he now carried. Humans were extraordinary, not because they were stronger or smarter than others, but because they were capable of connecting in ways others could not. Lyra's gift, the ritual, the shared memories, they were a reminder that influence did not require force. It required authenticity, courage, and care. These were qualities that humans possessed in abundance, and they were beginning to show the galaxy the true value of humanity. Ethan looked out at the stars, feeling a quiet pride. Humans were not only travelers, negotiators, or explorers. They were ambassadors of connection, builders of bridges, and beacons of hope. And in the galaxy, that mattered more than any weapon, any ship, or any technology. As the ship sailed past distant planets, Ethan thought of Lyra's words. Gift, unexpected, bridge, hope, connection, human, rare, extraordinary. He smiled, understanding now that humans' journey was only beginning. Their influence, carried quietly through honesty and empathy, would reach farther than anyone could imagine. In the years to come, the story of Xylar 9, Lyra, and the unexpected gift would be remembered by humans and aliens alike. It would serve as a reminder that even the smallest gestures, a compliment, a kind word, a moment of trust, could ripple across the galaxy, inspiring understanding, forging connections, and shaping a future where species could learn from one another. And it all began with one simple sentence. You look wonderful today. Ethan leaned back in his seat watching the stars glide past. He realized that humans' legacy was not only in the worlds they reached, but in the hearts they touched. The galaxy was vast, mysterious, and full of challenges, but humans had a power no one could deny, the power to connect, to inspire, and to create understanding. Lyra's gift would remain with him forever, a reminder that every word, every gesture, and every honest intention mattered. Humans could shape the galaxy, not with fear or force, but with empathy, courage, and the simplest acts of sincerity. And that, Ethan knew, was the true legacy of humanity.